president and his media allies. What I mean here is the spring breakers who seemed so oblivious to what was going on and continued partying on beaches. I'm talking about the way that there were crowded city parks and crowded restaurants and bars, even as the death toll began to soar. Even elected officials, leaders at all levels of government, struggled to respond to the virus in a way that reflected just how serious the problem actually was and is. How and why people misunderstand and make mistakes is the life's work of Daniel Kahneman, a scholar whose work revolutionized the field of cognitive psychology. He's a winner of the Nobel Prize and the author of Thinking, Fast and Slow, a bestseller about human behavior. Maria Konnikova, who's written for The New Yorker about psychology and many other subjects, spoke to Daniel Kahneman last week.
This is an exponential event. That is, we see things doubling every 2 days, every 3 days, every 4 days. And people don't, certainly including myself, don't seem to be able to think straight about exponential growth. So I knew that there were 100 cases in France, and I was about to fly to France. I also knew that epidemics are exponential. I didn't even consider the fact that if the rate of infections doubles every 3 days, then in a month it will be increased by a factor of 1,000. And what we see today are infections that occurred 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the deaths today are people who got infected 4 or 5 weeks ago. All of this is, I think, sort of beyond intuitive human comprehension. And that's interesting, that we're in a situation that we're simply not equipped to understand.
So I'm interested in how then people can make decisions and can follow kind of advice both from the personal level like you and I, but also from the highest levels, like if even someone like you is unable to grasp the nature of exponential growth and what it might mean, how do leaders use all of this information to make decisions? How do they think through it? How do they figure out, okay, well, what is the best way forward?
Well, people tend to be focused, and obviously that was true of President Trump as well. They tend to be focused on the number of casualties or cases or death today. And this is something that you want to warn people against. Don't look at what is happening today. You need to extrapolate into the future. In terms of people obeying instructions, you don't need many numbers. I mean, I think that if the president said, looking very serious, this is a very serious problem and we're anticipating many casualties, people will obey, people would pay attention. It's not even a matter of people making good decisions, it's a matter of getting people to behave in a particular way, in a way that's appropriate to a state of fear when they're not actually experiencing fear.
And on the individual level, is there anything that we can try to do on an individual level psychologically to be better equipped to make these choices?
I think that this is not individual decision making. That's really the theme of the conversation from my point of view. This is not individual decision making. Individuals should make the smallest possible number of choices because they're not equipped to do it. There should be clear guidelines and clear instructions. We all ought to know whether we should open our Amazon packages outside the door or bring them in. It's not a decision that individuals should consider making on the basis of what they know, because they don't know enough to make it.
Has your thinking about risk perception, has this situation actually affected it at all?
Well, I'm surprised by myself in a way.